a video from J Moles. He makes videos essentially, they're essentially opinion pieces. I don't believe he's a very Hand Raider-esque kind of player. I believe he's like on the... Hello? Huh? Like, where? Can I have some more pixels? I believe he's like on the more casual side of player. Although at least he was last time I reacted to his video, like at the start of Dawn Trail. Maybe something changed. Maybe he's cleared an ultimate or 3. I don't know. We'll see. The video is about end the game hot takes. Should we just kill the game? Maybe we should.
Hot takes. Alright! Hello, 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 everybody. I am J-Moles of J-Moles Gaming, and it's that time again, where we gather around the campfire. Not singing our campfire songs as a SpongeBob thing. Our thing is we regale each other with hot takes concerning our favorite games. And this go around, it's Final Fantasy XIV's time to shine. I got 5, count 'em.
Hot take, by the way. I kinda like Endwalker post MSQ story. I know not everyone feels that way, but I liked it.
5 hot takes, piping off the oven, ready for our consumption. And let's just get right on into it, shall we? And we're just gonna start, we're gonna rip it with this delectable hot take.
I like the way he makes his video. I like this like whole Brooklyn personality he's having like in his videos.
We have at the Tater Toddy, great, now I'm hungry, cooking up post ARR, A Realm Reborn is good.
Mind you, that comment was made recently. I'm not gonna assume that person actually played the original post ARR, because we need to remember, that shit got cut down recently. That shit got cut the fuck down recently by like, I believe they removed like 120 something quests, like in between ARR quest lines. So it's like,
No. Okay, moving on. Okay, I kid. I think A Realm Reborn has some really great moments to it. The introduction of Midgard Soma.
Actually, maybe I should actually make a US alt. It'll give me a reason to actually replay the new Realm Reborn questline. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I need to figure out which server though.
Prelude for Heavensward. The entire finale part with the Sultana. In the moment, those elements were really good. I also quite like the Shiva stuff that we got there. There's giant swaths of it, though, that I think are just wholly and mostly uninteresting, and they feel like time paddy stuff. It's world building, don't get me wrong, it's important, especially stuff like Leviathan and all that. But
to be fair, it's supposed to be very patty. For something that's supposed to introduce a player to the world and the game, it's supposed to be like Omega patty. It's supposed to be like the most dense fucking thing ever. Like even in World of Warcraft, the very first starting area, and if you continue questing from there, before you reach TBC, before you reach, Wrath, any of those expansions, the most quest dense area is going to be specifically the very first, like the base game itself. Because you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to specifically introduce the entire fucking world to the player and make them realize how much shit they're in.
But is it that interesting? Not particularly. Is it good that we get development and a bunch of force?
The one thing that we could fucking do without is going to the quicksands that often. I don't want to see Minfilia that often. She's cute and all, but I'm fine with the long distance relationships. It's fine.
Shadowing for stuff like Ugiri and the Doman refugees. Absolutely. Is it important we're developing the dynamic between Limsala, Minsa, and the Beast Tribe? Sure, all that stuff does come back. Could it have been told way better? Absolutely. And if there's any part of Final Fantasy XIV that I would be in favor of them just completely redoing or going at it again with a red marker and calling a lot of it, it would be the post-A Realm Reborn era.
You also need to realize that certain quest lines were made, like the game, like the first iteration of it was released in 2010. I believe Realm Reborn came out 2012. So, yeah, I think it was 2012, right? And you need to understand, for the story in those days, that was fine. That was actually gas. That was like the best shit. the reason we're looking at Realm Reborn in such a perspective is because we are 13 years later looking at it after we've played like a whole gaggle of fucking expansions with different experiences, right? So it's like you need to keep that in mind. They cannot change an entire fucking expansion worth of story just because people think now it's kind of bland. Here, just sitting on my level 100 character, looking back at ARR and thinking it was pretty mid. For what it was during its time, it was the good shit. But you also need to understand, people were looking at a Realm Reborn, like like people were comparing the pre-Realm Reborn same way we're comparing Realm Reborn to current content right now. Like the original Final Fantasy XIV and Realm Reborn, that is the situation we're having right now here in this video as well.
Because that's where I tend to find to be one of the biggest falling off points for a bunch of new players. They beat a Realm Reborn, they beat that base story. They're like, okay, maybe not the best, but it was quite good, or I enjoyed that. I'm ready to get into Heavensward. And then you have this giant patch wall where you're gaining little experience, it's all just level 50 quests, and you have this giant chunk of quests you have to do, now also included are the Crystal Tower raids, before you can get to Heavensward, which is the thing that gets hyped up the most.
To be fair, let's be clear. The Crystal Tower raids were not mandatory until Shadowbringers. They were not mandatory. Let's be a bit clear though. You did not need to clear Crystal Tower Alliance raid to get into Heaven's Sword. You do now. You gotta complete that quest line. It is now mandatory to continue into Shadowbringers. But at the time, it was not. It was a blue quest. You could literally skip and never do Alliance raid.
And it can be a real gut punch for a lot of people out there, understandably so, because they want to get to the really good stuff, because I think a lot of us can agree that the jump in quality, storytelling-wise, aesthetic-wise, in pretty much every avenue, including voice acting, for the most part, gets infinitely better the moment Heavensward proper actually starts. That's a pro for Heavensward, but we do kind of just default to, it gets better after 30 hours, that old debate, that old argument, that's just not really conducive to a new player experience, and I think something should be ironed out.
To be fair, it does get better. I know it's at this point it's a meme. It's like your job gets better at this level, it gets better at this level, the story gets better in this expansion, yada 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 yada, right? Let's be clear, all expansions have a certain story to them. They have a certain story to them, and people enjoy stories for what they are, depending on their own subjectivity, right? Some people hate Downtrail. A lot of people hate it. But some people think that is the shit. Some people load up New Game Plus and they replay Downtrail because they think that story is the fucking gas for them, right? So story is very subjective. The main difference right now that has changed since Realm Reborn into the quests right now, there's a lot more world building, a lot of more role play, a lot more interactive fights. Meanwhile, back in Realm Reborn, adventurer, I need you to go and get me 5 bear asses. I need you to kill some ladybugs and shit. Kill 3 ladybugs, please. Adventure, you've saved me a bunch. Adventure. I need you to thank you for bringing the bear asses. I need you to deliver them to this person. Oh, that person also needs you to go kill 7 rats. Those were the quests then. Anyone who picked up their first fucking job quest had to go through this. So it's like, the quests have generally fucking changed. Dawntrail is very good for what it's trying to do, in my opinion. It has to do the heavy lifting of setting up another 10 years of content. That's true. We talked about this earlier. Dawntrail is literally the first expansion that doesn't have a continuation from the previous one. Dawntrail is technically supposed to eventually be the new starting area for new players, because there's nothing linking this with the previous expansion other than the we know Kryl. For all we know, we might just land off of the fucking ship and Wuklamot is gonna chat with us. Wuklamot is now our new Minfilia. because we hate her. We talk to her too much, and we gotta go back to her and talk to her 100 times. She's the new Minphilly. I'm sorry to say this. Hell, I wouldn't be even surprised if her brother and the two-headed lizard that everyone thirsts over on Twitter. I wouldn't be surprised if they're gonna be the new science of the Eighth Dawn or some shit, right? They're gonna be our new team of of really really weird friends because our old friends have retired, I guess.
something should be renovated in that regard. I think it does have its pros, it does have its moments where it shines, but they're too few and far between in my opinion. Next up, we have at Fubuki the Icy King, who says they should have a unique progression for people that want to do the non-combat jobs. Like maybe you can progress by getting high ratings, or your maid equipment was used to clear a dungeon. It's a
Huh? Hold on. Let me read that again. They should have a unique progression for people that want to do the non-combat jobs. Like maybe you can progress by getting high ratings, or your mate equipment was used to clear a dungeon. I don't necessarily agree with that, because that's just people playing the fucking market, isn't it? That's people buying your gear on raid launch and having you pentameld it too. That's your progression. The gill next to your little menu in the corner, that's your progression on this. But I can kind of see that how people want something more, like, because PvE players, they got rating, they got ultimate raids, they got savage raids, they got criterion, they got all sorts of wacky activities, a whole gaggle of shit that we can do. But crafters, they need something more, something a bit higher. They definitely need firmament every expansion, just so they can actually progress on the leaderboards for achievements and whatnot. They need this. They genuinely do. I agree. I agree, but not in a way that this person thinks.
progression for people that want to do the non-combat jobs. Like maybe you can progress by getting high ratings, or your maid equipment was used to clear a dungeon. It's an interesting suggestion. It's one of those forever problems a lot of MMORPGs run into at some point, is how do we make crafting and gathering more interesting and stuff like that. World of Warcraft has had this issue since time.
To be fair, World of Warcraft doesn't make it interesting. World of Warcraft makes it necessary. They even removed several crafting specialties as well. There's like no first aid in more modern expansions. Um, it's more of a necessity. Nobody really crafts in World of Warcraft for fun. The crafting there, it's a bit more convoluted now. It's a bit more complicated. I actually don't know. Don't quote me on this. I know in Dragonflight there was a new system to it. You had to do things a lot more differently, specifically to level your crafting. But it's literally made for a bit of progression's sake and just out of necessity, because you gotta bring food and you gotta bring pods to raid, and you gotta bring so much fucking food. You gotta bring so much fucking food, because in comparison to 14, for those who are not in the know, for those who are not WoW stans, right? In World of Warcraft, you eat the food, you pull the boss, you die, you wipe, you gotta eat the food again, because dying takes off the buff off of you. It is so fucking stupid. That, and let me actually explain how much fucking time it takes. You need to sit down, you need to eat the food for at least 10 seconds, and then you get the buff. You pull the boss, you wipe in like the first 30 seconds, you gotta run all the way back to the boss, possibly re-clear some trash, and then you need to sit down and eat the food again. In World of Warcraft, it's a necessity. It's not really. They're not really making it fun.
I'm Memorial, Final Fantasy XIV. I think for the most part has done a pretty good job of it. It's a system where you either
Only necessary crafter parts in WoW is consumables and some 1 or 3 gear pieces. Trinkets specifically. The deck, the moon deck. Sorry, moon deck. You know the one. The moon deck trinkets. There are some other like alchemy stone trinkets. They're really good, depending from expansion to expansion. They're usually bis for druids or versatility tanks. But yeah, it's just there out of necessity.
either like it or hate it, but you can
Dark Moon deck, that's what I'm fucking thinking. Dark Moon deck trinkets are really good, especially in an early game.
absolutely dump a bunch of time into it if you want, and there is quite a bit of content there. I do think it could use a bit of a facelift, and maybe we get that with something like Cosmic Exploration. That is to wait and see, pretty much. We have to wait and see what that content will.
Actual armor. Every spec has at least one biz that's crafted gear. I didn't know that. I'm used to all my gear coming from dungeons, because at some point, no matter how high item level you can craft your shit, or how good the effect is, chances are I will find something that's just gonna outperform by sheer item level. By just grinding Mythic Plus, or just getting lucky with my drops in raids.
Will look like. No system will ever be perfect, and I think if you search for a system and you demand perfection, you'll left with like not much left. Because you'll never really find perfection when it comes to an MMO system. There'll always be a hiccup, there'll always be a pain point. But I think it could be cool to at least gain some benefit if your gear could be used by other players. You don't want a system that some way, some shape or form could be used for stalking and stuff like that.
What the fuck? Wait, hold on. That took a fucking very steep turn. Excuse me? What? Hold on.
Some benefit if your gear could be used by other players. You don't want a system that some way, some shape or form could be used for stalking and stuff like that.
Why are we throwing shade at the blacklist again? Holy shit. Can you imagine you sell gear on the auction house and somehow you have an add-on that fucking stalks people that buy it and wear it? Holy fuck, that would be weird.
But some moniker saying, hey, that piece of gear you made, someone cleared an ultimate with it. And like maybe you get a token. I think just giving some scripts could be rather boring. Maybe that could be an extra resource you get. Maybe like a badge system could be interesting. Like you're a Boy Scout or something. It's like you get the badge for saying, I made gear that was used in an ultimate.
Yeah, but then they would have to implement various weird systems of tracking, and we know how that fucking worked out with the blacklist, right? It's like I can see like the necessity of having, having some sort of badge of honor or some achievement for like, giving your gear to the right person, but that's like it's not really skill based, it's not really anything. It's just like you made gear and someone bought it and used it. You were lucky enough that the person that bought it wasn't just a person that wanted the glamour, and it's actually a raider. You know? It's kind of a very like gotcha sort of situation. Like if I don't know. Let's say a lot of people bought your gear. A lot of people started wearing your gear and buying it to themselves. Maybe for that, if like specifically we're working off of quantity. Let's say 1,000 people bought your gears or your consumables, but like just tracking that is gonna be a fucking pain. It's gonna be such a pain. So it's like the only actually wait, hold on. The one thing I could imagine if there was a combat sim specifically, right? There is, let's say you are dressing up an army that is fighting another army or fighting void demons, etc. Let's say we're back in Razat Han, the little portal to the void opened, and you're fighting some demons that are coming out of there, right? That'd be a neat idea. And you have to craft gear and donate them specifically for sake of victory. That way it's similar to Firmament, only a bit more combat based and could be a lot longer than a certain, city being finished to build. Here it's like there's a bit of uncertainty that could give it some longevity. So, you are donating crafts, you're donating food, you're donating, pots, and it's like, and it can also change specifically. So it's not one person just like donating a bunch of like pants, like 100 pants, and they get the points. No, like let's say every day there's a new need for a new type of item. Let's say they need pots on certain days. Maybe on certain days they need more rings. Maybe they need bed frames. I don't know, certain things like that. And it would change like every day. That would be kind of neat. Yeah, I can kind of see something like that.
Doesn't have to be used for anything, just like a list of achievements, essentially. I think something like that could be cool. Wouldn't be my highest priority for a system like this, but I think it has potential to be rather interesting. I don't know if I would argue for leaderboards in a system like that, as we saw kind of the effect of similar systems like that back in Ishgard Restoration, where you'll just have a bunch of people who stay up all night, all day, just crafting and doing stuff like that. Maybe you could have stuff that's a bit more local, like based on your specific.
That's why I think it should be like a never-ending kind of event, and not just until we finish building the city. So people aren't exactly stressing out, and at some point they want to push, they want to put some more points on them on themselves, and it's like at some point the system just kind of resets and takes off a certain amount of points. So the leaderboard doesn't essentially remains the same, but it can keep going upward. That'd be kind of neat, as long as the system is like just never ending and just keeps going, keeps going. You know, the war effort or whatnot. After tournaments, when? How would you even do a tournament? How would you even do a tournament? Maybe they're given like an item and they're told like either do the highest quality on it. No, then the gear would carry and like the luck as well. Because crafting can be a lot about luck. I don't know. There's like a whole conversation here.
Home server. I don't know. It's something interesting to think about. I don't think the way to improve crafting and gathering would be entirely done by any one system, but a couple of new systems possibly working together. And maybe it wouldn't require all that much, just a few very simple things to bolster the experience. Like if you make a piece of gear, then on that piece of gear in the item description.
Oh, even space exploration. Why don't they just like all the PvE players, they go about do their fates like they did in Baja and whatnot, and crafters just stay at base and they build aircrafts and they keep up, you know? They reach a certain threshold and they give everyone a buff. Everyone in the area gets a buff because the crafters did a big old push for a weekly grind, and everyone gets a buff. Everyone gets rewarded somehow for it, you know? That'd be kind of sick.
It says the name
Just like combine certain things together.
of the character who actually made it. I think World of Warcraft is a system kind of like that nowadays. Just something cool, right? It doesn't amount to much, just something cool to essentially carve your name into that piece of gear. Next,
But we have that. Wait, hold on. I'm pretty sure we have that. Hold on. Do I have any crafted pieces on me? I'm sure I have. Yeah. Yeah. For those who do not see it, actually, hold on. Let me move myself. We actually have this in game, believe it or not. So if you look in the corner, don't judge my inventory, please. No judging. If you look in the corner, right at the very bottom of that description, it shows the name of the person that crafted this piece. You can see that there's a name at the bottom of the description. They got a signature. They know who crafted this. We have this in the game. The technology exists. The technology is real.
Next up, we have at Black Velvet 98 who says, the Nier raids are top tier. The ones that don't like it are probably the ones that want to fly through Crystal Tower every raid roulette because it's faster and brain dead.
I mean, this is not really hot take. It's just a matter of perspective. Some people like a harder alliance raid. They actually like the content, and some people are there for the tombstones. It's like it's not really a hot take, is it?
Okay, look, I'm not saying they're cooking. I'm just saying a Michelin star is in their near future. For me, I know the Nier raids get quite a lot of flack. I love them. I love each one of them. I think they're all fun. I love the rewards from it. It's my favorite glamour in the entire game. I love the companions you get. I just love Nier. It's one of my favorite franchises in all of gaming. I am a Nier stan, I'm a Nier fan, I'm a Nier fanatic. And I have consistently over the last few years put Nier Automata in the #1 slot for me for my favorite game of all time. So of course a raid in one of my favorite MMORPGs, which is also one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, we get it. You like Nier. You really, really like Nier. We get it. And yet I still don't see you wearing the 2B outfit. J Mules, if you ever see this video, I better see it, the next video you wearing the 2B outfit. Or I do not believe you that you like Nier Automata. I'm gonna assume you like it for the clout. Buzzwords and shit. You've been warned.
That does a crossover event with my other favorite game of all time. Of course I'm going
If I don't see that next video, if I don't see you wearing the 2B outfit, I'm gonna call you lame on Twitter.
I like it. And I also quite like the mechanics in the raids. They're cool, they're fun, I like them. I love the music blaring in my ear. I'm a fan. Having said that, I do kind of groan every time it pops up in my roulette. One, because I got most of the glamour that I actually want out of it already. But two, when you design a system like a roulette, where it is the idea that I'm supposed to grind this every day, or that I can, at some point, I will cross over the line, a threshold if you will, where I will stop caring that much about how interesting and complex the systems are in that fight or in that raid, and I just want it done as fast as humanly possible because it feels like a chore to me. If you have some kind of,
I see where he's coming from, but okay, chat. If any of the casual players see this video, I mean this in the least dickhead way. This is casual content. High-end raiders normally kind of skip on this. We kind of don't need any rewards. We'll get the glam sometimes, but we'll probably be done fairly quickly. We'll probably be done with our glamour in like 5 weeks. And then we will abandon it and never do it again. It's like, if you're still rolling roulettes, you're either leveling or you need tombstones. At that point, it's like, if you're there just for that kind of reward, you shouldn't be complaining specifically about the content you're doing. But yeah, this is just casual raids. Can you imagine if you got tombstones from Savage Roulette? I want you to just consider this for a second. I get that you're burnt out on alliance raids. I get it. Sometimes you do them enough times, it gets boring. But consider this. Savage Roulette. Suddenly, alliance raid don't seem that bad to do for tombstones. For the glam.
I'm going to use that word homogenization in terms of the length and difficulty of all these different raids, then sure, I don't mind having a nice variety there. But if I'm going to have to do a chore each day, or at least I'm incentivized to do a chore each day, and you give me options where it's like this.
Why are you doing alliance raids every day? Actually, is something I'm curious about. Aren't they on weekly lockout? I get like the older ones aren't. Although, no, hold on. Let me track back. I understand he's talking specifically about roulette. But have you considered doing anything else? If you specifically don't like the content, just do expert. You just do expert every day, and you'll be done with tombstones very quickly.
This group of raids can be done in like 10 minutes and just using your big toe, and this other one will take you about 30 to 40, and you gotta really hope you don't have an entire party of people that are sharing 5 brain cells among all of them. Well, if I am going...
You're giving them way too many brain cells. That's too many brain cells. Don't overestimate them. They don't have that many brain cells. Chill. They're gonna have ideas now.
to pick which one of those two groups I'm gonna want to do each day for the rewards, it's gonna be the one that's easiest, because MMORPGs and gamers on the whole, more often than not, when you give them the option, go the path of least resistance. We have seen this time immemorial when it comes to online gaming. So while I love the Nier raids, I understand why a lot of people just want to do the Crystal Tower raids, because they're faster. And you get that chore because you've done these raids, at this point, possibly...
To be fair, Nier aren't that slow either anymore. I understand some people might have trouble with mechanics, especially like on the second, maybe third? No, mainly second. But they're not that slow anymore. I'm not saying this because of scaling or because I might be a bit full of myself, but it's like, at least in my experience, it's like they're not that slow. And I've been farming glam at the fairly recently, actually, from Nier. I wanted the aiming set
probably hundreds of times. Or if not hundreds, you're nearing that number. It's not new, fresh, and interesting. You've done it before. They all start to feel the same to you. I understand why some people will want the easier and far quicker option. And I don't even think necessarily that it's because it's easier. It's simply because it's quicker. Time is valuable for a lot of people. And if they're there for the same exact reward, or at least mostly, they're gonna want the thing that's most efficient. That's just how online gamers largely behave. You may be the exception. I'm not talking about this commenter here, right? I'm talking about like the general you here. You may be the specific exception, but generally speaking, that is how most people operate. And now we come to the final two. And these final two are rather spicy, and I saved them for the end because we're gonna go big picture here.
The last one have anything to do with ERP? If they are spicy, he's gonna have a take on RP, and God fucking save him.
And you know what? We're gonna rip it with this first one by @vagrant2863, who says they should burn the game down again and start over. All games need an ending.
Again, we did this 10 years ago. Chill. Fucking chill. Holy shit, even 11 is still ongoing. Chill. That is definitely a hot take. I understand a lot of people like are upset about this, but what they fucking need is to just close down the fucking game and all the servers for like half a fucking year, maybe even a year. Hell, maybe even like 2 fucking years. Remake the fucking engine. Fix the fucking spaghetti code. We cannot keep working off of Final Fantasy 13 engine from 2010. 2010 code is still running this fucking game, and we're still feeling the jankiness of it. I understand that some people might be unhappy with like the state of the game and how it functions and how often we keep talking about the spaghetti code, but just killing the game is a bit much. A bit much.
I have seen this take in my comments for a long time now, especially with Dawntrail, and the mixed reception that a lot of people have had to the story of Dawntrail. Because when you finish a giant narrative arc like the Hydaelyn and Zodiac arc, if you continue it, and you do a new story and it's immediately well received, people will be fine with it. But if it starts to falter, or if there's a perceived giant dip off a cliff in terms of quality, people will say, you should have just ended this. It's like watching The Simpsons malform into whatever abomination it has become over the last, at this point, like 20 years, where it kind of feels you should have just taken this out behind the woodshed and shot.
Okay, I'm sorry, Chad. I never realized, but why does Emmett Selk look high as fuck here? He looks so fucking high. Hold on. I'm gonna do some stuff with this later. He looks so fucking high.
Malform into whatever abomination it has become over the last, at this point, like 20 years, where it kind of feels you should have just taken this out behind the woodshed and shot it, put it out of its misery. And I know Vagrant didn't say this in their comment, but I've also seen this, so I'm gonna kind of lump it in, like a polymerization, if you will. People say Final Fantasy XIV should have ended and we get a new MMO to work on. I understand why people feel that way. I don't think it's the solution you think it is. I don't think Final Fantasy XIV's current issues are necessarily because of some giant rule of storytelling or anything like that. It's philosophical problems that, unless they're addressed, will stagnate and rot over time. I never, ever, ever bought the idea that the quality of Dawntrail's story should be excused simply because it's a new story. It's the beginning of something new. It's the realm.
Again, it's like, it's not about the quality. I understand why people feel this way. And I'm pretty sure the developers understood that people would not fucking receive the story too well, right? But we all fucking know why it's you know, in the state that it's in. It's a new story. It's not tied into anything. It's a new character. It's a new beginning to a fresh fucking story. We all know this. But people will still fucking yap on the same fucking thing. I understand that obviously people want, you know, the highest fucking Shadowbringers level of quality, you know? They want the caliber of that kind of storytelling, but you can't always have it. And unlike you, it's like some people really fucking hate the story, but some people fucking love it. Again, it's like you will have people that actually fucking love the story of Dawn Trail. They think it's gas, right? So are developers supposed to just disregard those people because you don't like it, because you think the quality is low? Just to clarify, I'm just essentially just explaining the situation. I think it's shit. I think the story is garbo. In my subjective taste, I skipped half of the fucking story because I got fucking so tired of cutscenes. Especially non-voiced ones. I got so fucking tired. I started skipping and shallotting. It's like, I got so fucking tired. I do not like the story. But I know people who really, really fucking like the story. Should I just yuck their yum? Or, you know, should we just take the side of the majority? Should we just react to the loudest people? Chat, I know this might trigger some people, but this is how DEI games fucking start, because some people were really, really fucking loud about this. Let's look at things a bit more, you know, objectively.
Reborn. That's not
We don't need to bitch about literally everything for sake of bitching.
good enough. And I also really fundamentally dislike the notion that something has to be bad simply because it's a beginning. I know there's quite a few games out there's quite a few media franchises out there where the beginning is rather slow, rather trotting and uninteresting, but it gets significantly better over time. I get that, that should not be excused. There's a bunch of things out there that have phenomenal beginnings. Fellowship of the Ring, Star Wars Episode 4, to name a couple. Just because something is the start, just because something is the beginning, doesn't mean it can't be good. So I don't excuse the issues of Dawn Trail.
Another unpopular opinion. I liked Phantom Menace. It was my first Star Wars movie I saw. I liked it. But again, I understand why people don't like it in comparison to the other three. But I fucking liked it.
That I have at least with it, simply because it's the start of something new. We should not be striving for Realm Reborn quality in the year 2025, especially when you showed me, back in the days of Shadowbringers, heck, in pretty much every expansion since, that you are fully capable of largely introducing a new section of this world for the first time, for the most part, and have it be interesting, engaging, and emotionally gripping. You've done it before. If you needed more backstory, you could have spent more time in the Endwalker patches introducing the new world conceptually.
Again, no. There's a reason they put a filler story post Endwalker, and there's a reason we're starting a brand new story now. This is going to be the new starting area. As soon as Endwalker becomes part of the free trial, Dawn Trail is going to become the new starting zone. And I understand they're taking a big risk with like all this negative fucking PR people are getting and people bitching about Wook Lamont. But we understand why. Obviously, I understand people want every fucking expansion to be as gripping as Shadowbringers. But again, we were already told, and we already knew that this is supposed to be a brand new story. How many games do you start at level 100? I understand that some people might be unhappy. But this is the beginning. We are level 100, but we're gonna have to treat it like we're still sprouts. We're level 1. We got 2 or 3 spells. You know. Unfortunately, this is gonna be until next expansion. I'm sure 8.0 is gonna be better, or we're gonna have to kill Wook Lamont at the end of this expansion. I don't know. Maybe Wook Lamont is literally gonna go through some traumatic experience and gonna try to murder someone. I don't know. Who fucking knows, right? There's plenty of people that need killing, and who knows what could happen. It might make Wook Lamont an enemy.
if you needed to. We knew largely not much when it.
Hell, we might even think Wook Lamont will become the best fucking enemy of all time. We don't know that, because this is just the start of the story. This is the first story in such a long time where an expansion started with its own story and not the story stemming from the previous one. This did not start with, you know, Zero and Goldbus, right? It started in Dawn Trail. Dawn Trail started in Dawn Trail. This is, and I understand why people are unhappy, but suck it, I guess. Suck it. If the story is enough for you to just think the game should die, I don't know what to fucking tell you, man. I recommend therapy.
Came to the first, and then we got Shadowbringers, and we fell in love with that world. So much so, there was a non-insignificant chunk of the player base who didn't want to go back to Eorzea, who didn't want to go back to the source, because they were so emotionally invested with the first. And people attribute that, some way, somehow, to the development that it got back in Heavensward patches, with the Warriors of Darkness. That was only really applicable for those characters, and didn't do much to actually develop and flesh out the world outside of it got overtaken by the light. And like Minfilia played a part in stopping that. Buddy, that can be explained in like 5 lines of dialogue. And it kinda was. But the reason Shadowbringers was so good wasn't necessarily because of previous investment in the world of the first. It was because of the work they put in at that time to flesh out and develop that world to make it emotionally interesting.
The more I'm listening to this, the more emotional he's getting in this explanation, the more I'm hearing is just, I think the devs are lazy and aren't trying hard enough and aren't working enough because I don't like this. We fucking know that's not true. We fucking know it's not true. Because this expansion, okay, again, I'm gonna stay on point that I'm of the opinion that the first 8 months of this expansion, absolute dog water. There's nothing to do. It's boring, and they're supposed to be releasing fucking content, hopefully soon, right? But Criterion, Deep Dungeon, operational content or slash Eureka Baja, right? Raids, ultimates, alliance raids. Not this all is supposed to be coming out this expansion, right? Are we really gonna like drag an entire expansion because we don't like Wuklamat?
Filled to the brim with characters we genuinely cared about, and emotional struggles and tribulations that we got immediately invested in. Was it perfect? No, that train section was a bit slow, but for the most part, they did a great job with it. And there's no reason that couldn't have been done for the new world. I know some people like it, that's entirely fine. Storytelling and stories overall, and our perception of them and our reception of them overall is largely subjective. I can only speak for myself here, where I think, and I say, that to me, the quality of world building and storytelling and pacing and emotional investment was vastly subpar in Dawntrail than it had been in previous expansions.
No. Again, I'm not defending Dawntrail. So far, the story is shit. But let's not pretend like this is not the first 20 levels of Dawntrail. When you start a fucking MMO, if you start any Final Fantasy, if you start RPG games, you know like the first 20 levels of a story aren't shit. You know they're not shit. They ain't shit, there's nothing. You got your first summon in Tales of Destiny 2. Cool. Cool, I got Sylph. When do I get Ifrit? When do I get the cool one? Can I get Undine? Oh wait, no, Undine was the first one. What the fuck am I talking about? Ignore my fucking reminiscence of my boomer age. But it's like, let's not pretend like we don't know that this is just the start of the story. I get that you don't like the start of the story. I'm not gonna tell you it gets better later. For all I know, it's gonna be shit as well. But again, we need to stop just like crucifying an entire expansion just off of this.
And I don't think it's because Dawntrail is the beginning of something new. And the problem is, if you burn the game down and you decide, or at least Square Enix decides to start again, you run into the same exact issue, where you have to develop now an entire new world, or at least a new beginning, and we run into this issue again, where you have...
God, I hope they make Hildebrand Ultimate. I genuinely hope they create a Hildebrand Ultimate and force everyone to fucking do the entire Hildebrand story just to unlock it. God, I hope that's going to be the case. This is just me being spiteful and just annoying.
have to do a beginning well. Just because you're the start of a giant story arc at the beginning is not an excuse for subpar quality. And I think most of the issues I have...
I wouldn't say the beginning needs to be good. It needs to be interesting. It doesn't need to be good. For anyone who ever studies script writing, the high points are in the middle. That's where the drama is happening.
with Final Fantasy XIV in its current iteration, they're not like impossible to fix. It's content cadence and decision making and storytelling methodologies utilized within Dawntrail. And I think the idea of trying to lump all the blame, just saying, alright, it's an old game, people, what are we gonna do? Hey, they're trying to tell a new story. I think that's doing a disservice to the actual foundational issues Final Fantasy XIV has right now and the things that are holding it.
It doesn't have anything. What? Hold on. What the fuck did you just say?
Fix. It's content cadence and decision making and storytelling methodologies utilized
Methodologies. The methodologies has been the same.
within Dawn.
It just has different story beats and different characters. The dialogue is still more or less the same. We meet someone, we go through some turbulations, we have a fucking, very spiritual, personal conversation at the fucking campfire with them. They almost lose a loved one. Then we beat the big bad. Potentially someone sacrifices their ambition for their loved ones. The methodology and the story beats are still the same.
Dawntrail. And I think the idea of trying to lump all the blame, just saying, alright, it's an old game.
No one lumps the blame. No one fucking gives a shit about the story of previous expansions in comparison to Dawntrail. They only say that story was better than Dawntrail just because Dawntrail is a bit subpar. This guy has no idea how storytelling works, let alone game development. It's starting to kind of come across. It seems like, I don't know. He's throwing a lot of words that I'm just not connecting to what the fuck he's saying. It's like I'm at this point, I'm like this far into the video. It's like I don't think he's taking other people's hot takes. He's just kind of ranting about them. I feel like he selected certain hot takes for the reason to actually talk about this. And at this point, it's honestly just starting to feel that he's just throwing words. Just to clarify, I worked in films before, and I worked in writing departments as well. Half the shit is just not connecting with me right now, what he's saying.
People, what are we gonna do? Hey, they're trying to tell a new story. I think that's doing a disservice to the actual foundational issues Final Fantasy XIV.
Like, the only reason I'm defending Dawntrail while fucking hating it is because I know that the story's not over. I know it's not over. For all I know, we're gonna think Dawntrail is the best fucking expansion the moment we hit the end of the expansion and the story. For all I know, people might be turned around and people will fucking love the shit out of Wuklamot if she does something fucking cool. Maybe she'll get a gun and kill a man. I don't fucking know. Like, you need to understand, like, the transition that some fucking characters go through, they're a bit bigger than just a 3-act beginning of an expansion story. Again, I understand that the beginning of the story is kind of shit. But we're expecting a lot. Especially because, like, they're trying something new with this expansion, right? We all know. You don't have to specifically say what you're trying new is shit because I liked something in the past better. The things you did differently. You did something different, fuck you. Can't judge a book by its cover, can't judge an expansion until the final patch. And I know, like, yeah, I agree with that, and I also understand that people are gonna be fucking frustrated with the same turn that you're supposed to like something a few hours, like, you're supposed to start liking something at 50 levels, or you're supposed to like something in a different expansion later, or you're supposed to like something, at a later point. And I understand. At this point, skip the fucking cutscenes, wait for the good part. If you like the good parts, go back through New Game Plus. I'm not telling you to wait, but, like, you have other shit to do than a story you can whip out in one fucking day. There's New Game Plus for a reason. Go play Shadowbringers, man.
What it has right now, and the things that are holding it back. This game can have great class design. It can have great job design, because it's had it before. Fight design is really good right now. Visual design, this game is gorgeous. But there's issues with the direction of the game. And if you burn it down, wipe the slate...
Dude, everyone's so fucking dramatic. Holy shit. Everyone's so fucking dramatic.
clean, and you start again. You're gonna build up, though, from...
It feels like I'm rewatching that fucking Doom Talking Zepla video again. Holy shit, this guy hold off a lot of fucking emotions until this point. And he's still supposed to have one more fucking hot take in this video, holy shit. I'm scared.
that same foundation, even if it's a new world, even if it's a new story, even if it's new characters, because the same foundational issues exist.
There's no foundational fucking issues. It's a new foundation. Methodology is still the same. The story beats are still the same compared to any other fucking expansion if we were talking about story. The only difference is that the story doesn't tie in into the previous expansion. Not in a way that it matters, at least. It's like, I don't fucking understand. Shit hasn't changed that much. When you actually, like, you're throwing all these words, but like, once you actually take the fucking microscope that you're trying to look at at things with, you're gonna realize the story beats are literally the same as a lot of previous fucking expansions, right? They're the same. Only this time, the story is different and it's not connected to anything before. So you don't have that frame of reference like, oh, I like this because I liked this in the last expansion as well. Holy shit, it's actually getting frustrated. I'm getting frustrated defending something I don't like as well. But all this like yapping at this point is actually getting a bit, I don't know, take it to Twitter, man.
And they have to be addressed first. Could some issues be renovated by using a new...
Like, he just keeps saying issues, bad foundations, methodology. He keeps saying these words, but nothing too specific at this point. The hot take was that the game needs to end at some point. And he keeps just yapping and just, like, word parsing at this point. Can we, like, come to the issues that you didn't like? Because I'm pretty sure the moment you start saying specific issues, someone in the comment section or someone else is gonna say, oh, you didn't like that one? I'm fine with that one. I kind of like that part. I just didn't like this part.
new engine that's not, like, thrown together with...
Because, like, let's be honest, people don't like the entire fucking story. They don't like a lot of parts of it. It's just this time around, people don't like a lot of parts of it, right? And the pacing was a bit cringe, right? But, like, what are these issues you speak of? Are the issues in the room with us right now? What are we talking about?
String, hope, and bubblegum? Sure. Are those the biggest issues this game faces right now?
What are the fucking issues you're even talking about? You've been yapping about this for 4 minutes. I'm gonna keep pausing just to be angry at this point, because I need my entire body to be angry.
Now, I genuinely don't believe so. And we're gonna continue this line of thought in the next hot take. We have at worst9347 who says, due to Medion...
Oh my fucking god. Okay, let's give him a chance.
I genuinely don't believe so. And we're gonna continue this line of thought in the next hot take. We have at worst9347 who says, due to Medion essentially killing off all outside life in the universe, we only have the remaining reflections.
We don't know that Medion killed all of the life outside. They did explore a good vast of it. We don't know if they killed all of them. That's not really confirmed.
Minus the void.
Because, like, even the small worlds we encountered, there's still life. Hell, there's life being rebuilt there if you've done your gathering beast tribe quests. You know?
To have a story on. And given how Dawntrail took its approach of giving us a quote-unquote big story, a story without the world-ending threats, we will have a formulaic new expansion with a great evil that is somehow strong enough to end reality, or at least all life on the world. The Warrior of Light is barely a character. From the perspective of the world, given how in Dawntrail, they did nothing unless a giant threat is causing trouble.
You gotta remember that we're Asm. We're technically supposed to be just adventuring, chilling the fuck out. We're just explorers, man. We're adventurers. We're not the defenders of the world. That's not kind of... Believe it or not, that's not our niche. That's not what the fuck we do. If anything, our role in Dawntrail is kind of on point when you think about it. It's just that we've always been in the middle of trouble and we are just good-hearted enough to actually not ignore it. But I understand, like, the whole thing with Meteion and like showing us so many worlds that could have been and we didn't explore. But you also need to understand that we've traveled through time and we also gone through other reflections. It's like the world isn't that fucking empty as you think. Meteion didn't go to the 13th. There's a lot of shit to explore, and we do not have a complete confirmation that Meteon just went off from our small little planet and killed fucking everything else. Because believe it or not, Meteon did that when Elpis was around. Like, before the Shattering. What the fuck happened since? New planets might have fucking established, new worlds have built. Hell, our fucking planet has been built and grew and fucking evolved as well. We're in a fresh new universe right now.
Making them...
Like, am I getting too heated up with this, chat? Chat, am I an angry person? I feel I'm getting too heated up about this.
a living eraser of problems too big for others to handle, while having no other qualities or insight. Not to mention, given how the Scions are now separated for the most part, no one really wants to hang out with you, and you are just a wanderer without a purpose in the world.
Yes, Azim, adventure. Fucking Google it. Check whose soul we carry. Somewhere in our world, there's also a traveling fucking ex-god with a monkey on his shoulder as well. Very similar case. Some people are just wanderers and adventurers that explore the world. Why do you think... What do you mean people don't want to hang out with me? What do you mean, dude?
Since peace is mostly all it is now, and clearly a bandit group or two is of no concern for you, and you would just leave it to other people. If that's the story of a wanderer learning how to deal with not being needed as much anymore...
Wait, what the fuck? Hold on. Not to mention, given how the Scions are now separate for the most part, no one really wants to hang out with you, but they do. Look, let's be honest, Grahatia wants to hang out with you a lot. Alize probably too. No, you are just a wanderer without a purpose in the world. No, adventure. Adventure, exploration, that's kind of our whole thing. That's how we started this whole adventure thing. You should play New Game Plus and Realm Reborn, man. Since peace is mostly all it is now, and clearly a bandit group or two is of no concern to you to worry about, but we still fight them. We fight groups of bandits. Somehow, we always fight a group of bandits every expansion, believe it or not. There's always a trap or an ambush or some shit. But that shit was even in Shadowbringers, man. You would just leave it to other people. Where did we leave it something to other people, by the way? I'm very curious about this part of the comment. What did we leave to who? Okay. Fuck it. If that's the story of a wanderer learning how to deal with not being needed as much anymore, then that could be a nice change of pace, but at the rate the story at least is going. I mean, we're... Huh? Hold on, what the fuck? 14 will be held up by people needing to keep their houses, ear peers, and modders. I mean, it already is, to be fair. Expansion been a bit empty in content, but it kind of is already. I don't know. I mean this in the nicest way, but this person needs to take their meds. Which game are they talking about? Are they sure this is this is the same game? I'm kind of confused.
Then that could be a nice change of pace. But at the rate the story at least is going, Final Fantasy XIV will be held up by people needing to keep their houses, ERPers, and modders. This goes back to what I was talking about before, the foundational issues. Because to me, in my eyes, some people will view this as a limitation because of the events in Endwalker. It closed off a large section of the cosmos.
Okay, I see that. I see the plot twist and the plot armor that might stop us from exploring. So what's gonna be cosmic exploration about, I wonder? At this point, I fucking wonder, what is cosmic exploration gonna be around? To be fair, we barely explored our own planet. I'm still waiting for Mericidia, right? But we got new content that's literally called cosmic exploration soon. I wonder what that's going to be about. God, I hope it's not shit.
I don't think you ever needed that, though, to continue to develop and flesh out the story of Final Fantasy XIV.
And just to clarify, I get that we're going to be nitpicky if Meteon destroyed the universe, what do if she destroyed the world? Believe it or not, people are kind of aware of, specifically the developers. What do you think is all of that in the background? We have shooting stars. We have moving universes. We've conversed with people on this planet too. Like obviously, this is all obviously also a stupid point. Like she destroyed the universe, but there's still stars in the background. We can be very nitpicky about anything. We can be nitpicky about fucking everything, right? But we know that's not gonna be the end because she destroyed the universe fucking a bajillion years ago. We've seen aliens. If you played Hildebrands, you know there's other worlds. You know there's aliens. There's other shit to explore. Hell, Hildebrand is a fucking alien. Sorry for the spoilers. You're not gonna play Hildebrand anyway if you're bitching about this kind of thing.
There's plenty of locations.
There's aliens in Final Fantasy XIV? Yeah, hold on. Woo! I'm being abducted! Woo! There you go. Woo! But again, back to the conversation. It's like people, for some reason, think Meteor destroyed the entire universe. I know she took a chunk out of like a big part of it, right? I understand that. Hold on. Where is the cool fucking area? There you go. But the devs aren't that fucking stupid to just say, she destroyed everything, clean slate, we're just on a floating rock, fucking time to be depressed. No. They're not that fucking stupid. You can see this mess, yes. But the point of this whole expansion was to encourage growth of the universe. There's, like, for those who have not done the Gathering Beast Tribe quests, do them. Do them. Where is it actually? It's over there. Because there's a cafe right here. There's a dragon there. There's some robots. There's some aliens. Look, even this asshole's here. God, I hate him. Those raids were stupid in Heaven's Sword. But he's here. The dragons are also aliens. Exactly. The first brood on our fucking planet are aliens. Omega's still around. There's like plenty of fucking life around. It's like, I don't know why this person is specifically considering this like a very dead world. Actually, let me park myself somewhere here. This is kind of a neat place to actually hang out. Is there like a table? Sorry, waiter, is there a free table? There it is. There you go. This is gonna be in the background. You're gonna be listening to me shake shit. Right? Alright, back to the stupid point being made.
There's plenty of things you can do, not just on the source, but also in the shards, to have plenty of great new set pieces and storylines for a long, long time. I don't think Endwalker did anything to prevent Final Fantasy XIV from being excellent going into the future.
He praised it very weirdly. I was about to agree with him, but it literally sounds like he's like, it has the potential to be fucking excellent. So Square Enix, please be fucking excellent. Please make content that I like. It's fine. I'm just gonna assume he didn't mean it sarcastically.
It's just a bunch of things that in this moment, if these trends continue, I can understand why people will lose interest. Because I don't believe the quality that we had before is there anymore. But it can come back.
You know what I'm realizing? A lot of people play 14. I understand they play it for the story. It's a Final Fantasy mainline game, and, you know, it's supposed to have a really good fucking story, right? I understand that, right? But do we really want to be jaded 30-year-olds similar to the ones playing World of Warcraft? Because they're so in love with the older content when they were younger, and now they're, like, a lot old. I'm not taking a jab at older people, right? They're older, and they're enjoying older content, but that content is literally made not on story, but like a race war. Like, story-based longevity, we're gonna have to fucking find some better arguments. We can go fucking argue on the Witcher Reddit and, you know, Ciri cannot be a Witcher. Maybe she can. Ooh! But, like, if we're specifically basing longevity of a fucking game just on the story, it's like, how low are our standards that we're so fucking entitled? I don't understand.
Plenty of places on the source by itself that we could explore, flesh out. You could develop whole expansions and interesting stories about. And this idea that, well, what's the threat gonna be? Because the Warrior of Light is this, like, triple S tier level powerhouse in the lore. Do we just do the DBZ thing and we just go up and up and up and up and up until it becomes absolutely wacky and we lose
I mean, that's not really gonna happen anymore. Idling is dead, so that fucking source of power is gonna eventually fade out. However you want to think about it, that power is like the amount of time she saved us through, wacky idling magic and limit break additions to the MSQ roulette. It's like at some point there will be new threats. They will come out of fucking nowhere. There will be someone that like a fucking Kefka type character that is just a wacky little clown with a pistol, and then he eats some yummy yummy magic and becomes a fucking god that we have to fight. You know? It's a Final Fantasy game. It's a fucking RPG. They're gonna think of something. There's always gonna be a new fucking threat. Even after you save the fucking world. Like, for anyone fucking confused, you need to play some older RPGs. You don't save the world once in those games. At some point, you're gonna realize that something is being set up for new threats. Hell, but like, we're the people of Alexandria came from somewhere. We don't know if a threat is gonna come after them as well. There might be something that they brought with them that might become a threat as well. Everkeep didn't need to be the last fucking boss fight over there. You know, there might be more stuff. There might be some sneaky little sausage that has a soul memory in one of the people of that city in Solution 9. I don't know. It's like this story can still go so many ways. Like if you're creative enough, it's gonna happen. But we're just yapping for no reason just because we don't like Dawn Trail's story.
The roots of what made this story and these characters so compelling to begin with, well, I think the direction you go for this next narrative arc, I think that's the one they're likely doing right now, because that's the seeds they are sowing. And that is a deeply personal, introspective tale about the Warrior of Light and Azim. The idea that the Warrior of
Introspective. It's not that deep, dude.
Light is now largely just a solo wanderer, that has so much potential because, in my opinion, that's the direction you go. That's the direction you lean into. Some of my favorite moments in all of Final Fantasy XIV have been when the Warrior of Light is at the center of the stage and they're actively a character in that moment. The speech Xenos gives to you at the end of Stormblood 4.0. Or Urianger apologizing to you before you set off for the Tempest at the end of Shadowbringers. When you as a character...
Am I bugging? I feel like I'm tweaking a bit, but I feel like he's just like drifting away from the point the dude in the comments left. I mean, okay. I guess we're talking about the importance of the Warrior of Light, but I feel like he's drifting a bit now.
character decide you're not going to drag everyone down with you, you're going to go to Emmett Silk alone. And they had to convince you to let them tag along. The story, in my opinion, at this point in time, needs more emphasis on storytelling of that kind.
Oh my god, can you imagine Xenos fucking comes back anyway? You know he's gonna come back. At some point, we left his body over here and something happened to it. He's gonna come back. and the next thing we're gonna see is a test of your reflexes. Oh god, we might get Shinryu Ultimate, actually. That might actually be kind of sick, now that I think about it. Yeah. That might actually kind of be sick.
This idea, this notion that Dawn Trail was trying to do of developing other characters and having them kind of be the protagonist and just letting us be essentially the glorified cameraman, I don't like it. Some people might, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't want it to come off as if I'm right, you're wrong. Because again, what we're talking about before, storytelling and our perception and reception of storytelling is inherently subjective. But, at least in my eyes, that kind of storytelling doesn't work in an MMORPG where we have so many hours invested. And I'm talking into the future here. I don't think you can just completely shift storytelling over to having the Warrior of Light be a cameraman because we have so many hours invested with our character.
No, we can. People are treating the whole Wuklamot fighting Sphene thing like the next big thing, and we're, the side character now. Like, we're the mentor to the younger folk now. But we also need to remember, what was the dude's name in Shadowbringers? The one that Thancred had to fight. The dude with the snake scarf and all that. It's like, that should have been a boss fight we had to fight, with how fucking cool and strong that dude fucking looked. Like, that should have been our fight. You need to understand, like, chances are we're not the side character. It's just that our priorities are a bit bigger than Sphene and Wuklamot having a very weird sexual tensions. Again, the story can go anyway. I understand that the current state of the story is kind of shit. It's kind of poopy. It's kind of stinky. It's kind of yucko mundo. I understand that. But, like, again, why are we saying, like, the entire franchise is gonna die because of foundation methodologies and other fucking wacky buzzwords?
We have so many hours invested with our Warrior of Light. I at least want to be a character. I want more agency. I want the Warrior of Light to feel like an intrinsic part of this story, and I want them to have a story all of their own. It's one of the reasons I loved Elpis so much.
Like, how are we a side character? Like, the more I think about Dawntrail, how are we a fucking side character? We're literally at the center of every fucking adventure. It's just this time we had to have a companion that's a ruler of a kingdom and who wields a fucking big axe. How are we not the main character still? Because we fought a lot of fucking fights, big fights, and we killed a lot of fucking wacky shit. Again, what the story part was between Sphene and Wuklamot, I understand. Kinda gay. But the end story was our fight in Everkeep. Hell, fucking fighting gods. Fighting Voligarmanda. Holy shit. Do we really think we're the side character? I don't know. I think people are really giving this way too much thought. They're overcooking this whole idea just because they don't like Dawntrail.
I think the direction they take now is that Dawntrail was planting the seeds so that those seeds can be nurtured and fertilized in the future to tell a story about Azim and the Warrior of Light. And I think that's the direction they should take, because that doesn't necessarily require a world-ending threat to have interesting and compelling antagonists, but a deeply emotional, introspective journey of self-discovery, not only of Azim but for the Warrior of Light, kind of in the style of the Dark Knight quest of years gone by. I think that could work, but I don't blame people for not.
Azim? Yeah, sure, I guess.
Seeing it, because that's a complete and utter shift in storytelling style and presentation for what we were just presented with in Dawntrail, and likely will continue to for the next couple of patches as they wrap up the Dawntrail story in 7.2 and 7.3.
Wrap up? Oh, I'm so sorry, man. I'm really sorry, man, but it's not gonna be a wrap up. They're gonna continue it in 8.0 too. They're gonna continue this. As much as people don't like Liz, we still had to go back to fucking Alamigo. We had to go back to Stormblood areas. We still had to talk to her and had to look at Hian, be quiet, I guess. It's like this story is gonna go for a while. I'm sorry to say this, man.
Great, but I don't think.
Oh my god! Chat. First of all, shut the fuck up. I know nobody's talking, but chat, shut the fuck up. I just realized something. We might go to... We already went... We might go to Australia. I just realized Mericidia might literally be Australia. If we look at the map of Eorzea... Hold on. Let me cook. We'll just use this map for a bit, right? Okay, so... Orthard, okay. Ishgard. No, is this Ishgard? Yeah, that's Ishgard. Okay, so Ishgard is here. We got Gridane, etc. There was Garlemald here. There's Kugane and all that. Because we moved from here, this is technically like the European continent, right? This is before the new map evolved, right? We're technically currently in Eorzean, Brazil, and Texas. Right now, we're currently in the United States and Brazil, of specifically the continent in Dawntrail, right? I feel like Mericidia might be Australia. If we use the references here, I feel like Mercidia might be Australian. And we're gonna fight some fucking kangaroos. Mercidia, the story where Warring Triad happened, where Asians were trying to take over the entire kingdom, where Xavier was trying to become an immortal fucking god. I feel like that's Australia. That's why everything over there was fucking backwards. I'm gonna have to start betting money on this. We need to make a bingo card for like the next 5 years. Just like predictions, whether or not they happen, and just put it in a time capsule.
Think that the state of the world Final Fantasy XIV was left with at the end of Endwalker limits it in any meaningful way. Because good writing wouldn't be limited by it. It would use it as a jumping off point for even cooler and more engrossing storytelling. And I don't think wiping the slate clean and burning it all down to start again would address the root issues that Final Fantasy XIV has right now in terms of design direction and philosophy. We have to wait and see, but I have hope, because they have been teasing that things going into the future will be far more interesting and engrossing if you can weed out the details and the little kernels of foreshadowing they've been trying to lay into the story of Dawn Trail in 7.1. And with that, I think I'll call the video there for today. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and help support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, your opinions on where the story of Final Fantasy...
Right, the video's over already. Alright, chat, I'm gonna be real. It's like some of the points that were made, okay, I understand. There's like, a lot of these points do encourage quite a bit of a discussion, right? Some of these points do require discussion. There's like plenty of fucking opinions to throw about. But like the tail end, and I say tail end, but like the last 10 minutes of this video, which is like the half. The tail end is half of this fucking video. Just felt like a very big personal gripe with the story, and you're just trying to kind of come off as analyzing and being not perspective, but like being objective about it. And I don't know, like the last 10 minutes were all over the road. Both like from the comment and from his commentary. It's just like, I get you don't like the story, just call it lame, man. It's not that deep. Oh boy, fuck me. I like his videos in general. Like I normally like his videos. I like his personality, and I like this like whole Boston conversation he has in videos. But I don't know. I don't like I'm fine with like the first half of the video, but like the second half just kind of like kept making me upset, making me sad. Oh well, right. Fuck it. Fuck it, I say.